What's good, YouTube? Quinn Way basketball analysis coming to y'all late on a Saturday. Today we're gonna talk about the All-Star game, and I usually cover this every once in a while. I did it a lot earlier when I made videos. I don't do it as much now. Um, and the only reason why I'm doing this video is to talk about Paul George. We just got the news that he will be in the All-Star game, making him a five-time All-Star out of his 8th year. And this is his 8th year and is in OKC. They felt that he should be, everybody felt that Paul George was a snub because Chris Paul missed time. Obviously, with the Rockets, if he didn't miss time playing like he's playing now, obviously I would personally have Chris Paul at the All-Star game over Paul George. But since he missed so much time, and on top of that, Lou Williams was another guy that is putting up 20 points, just went for 40, been helping carry the Clippers, but right now they're out of the playoffs, honestly. But Lou Williams has been carrying that team. He has been scoring. He has been taking over. He's been getting more assists. He's been destroying people in the pick and roll. You go too hard, he shoots the three. I mean, you go under the screen, he shoots the three. You go over the screen, he goes right to the paint, either does a floater, drop off to DeAndre, lob to DeAndre, or he kicks it out to Blake Griffin for the three or the mid-range, or sometimes he rolls to the basket too. You also got Wesley Johnson and Teodosic that like to stay on the perimeter. Not really known as ridiculous three-point shooters, but getting a spot up three-point shooters, a practice shot. So Lou Williams had a very good shot. This was the best chance he ever had. And even though Boogie went down, you know, it's still kind of crazy not to see Lou Williams still not in the All-Star game, especially when you see the season that he's having, especially when he's coming off the bench doing it. He just went for 40, like I said yesterday. So the guy has been ripping it and tearing up the league, and that's the biggest shock, right? To me, that everybody felt like Lou should make it, and he still did not make it, even with the injury replacement. And Chris Paul was another guy for the West. Jimmy Butler and Karl Anthony Towns, they already made it, so it's not really too many people you can pick other than those guys that really, 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 really deserve it. But Paul George got in there, so we're going to talk about him. He's a guy that got traded to OKC. People made fun of him. Well, Victor Oladipo is in the East. You left Indiana to go to the West. Then you know how hard and how difficult it is to make the All-Star game in the West because you didn't even make it. And in the East, you left, you'll be a perennial guaranteed All-Star game, especially because the team is built around you and you're the best player. You get more touches, you get more opportunities, and you get more opportunities to boost your stats because of the minutes and the touches, and you have the ball in your hand more, the usage rate. But the thing that's crazy about that is Victor already is in the All-Star game. He got voted in by the coaches on top of that, and Paul George did not. They felt that the Thunder obviously got off to a rocky start. They won 6 in a row right now. They 8 games above 7 or 8 games above 500. They 27-20 or 28-20. I think they 28-20, and they in the playoffs. They have a great record. They in that top spot where they needed to be. Like we all thought they would be in that top 5. I thought they'd be up to 3, but they still got a little bit to go. The Spurs getting Kawhi Leonard back was a little trouble because he went back injured, which actually helped the Wolves catch up because the Spurs been losing more games without their best player, which is Kawhi Leonard. And then you go to Minnesota at 4. It's going to be a while before OKC can catch them because this team has really been gelling, and they expect to have Jimmy Butler back, hopefully, up and coming. So that's going to be a hard team to beat. Plus, I think they beat OKC 2 or 3 times already, or they beat them twice early in the season, barely. But it still counts as a W. And if they get a 3-1 lead, they own the division, so they end with the same record. Minnesota will make it over them. And Paul George, let's talk about him, the guy that got the spot over Boogie. I mean, after Boogie got injured, tearing his Achilles. And I really looked forward to seeing Boogie as a starter, especially going against that Steph Curry team out. He had an advantage, especially nobody can match up with him. Joel Embiid still kind of slow, not really good laterally sometimes, and he could have beat him up a little bit and gave him a taste of his own medicine because everything Joel Embiid do besides defensively, DeMarcus Cousins do. He stretch out the floor, he play makes, he sets screens, shoots the three, put the ball on the floor, posts up, uses elbow jumpers. Obviously, I think Boogie Cousins is still the best. He's still better than Joel Embiid to me. But a lot of the things Joel Embiid does, Boogie Cousins has been doing it longer. And now Let's see. Paul George is averaging 20.9 points a game, shooting 43% from the field, 41% from three. He's still giving you 80% from the free throw line, giving you 5 rebounds, 3 assists, while giving you 2.2 steals. The first player in the NBA to reach 100 steals for the whole season is Paul George, a two-way player, defensive player of the year candidate, a guy that can guard Steph. A guy that can guard Steph, a guy that can guard LeBron, a guy that can play up to par but a little bit lower of Kevin Durant, and a guy that can also guard Kawhi Leonard in the Western Conference, because them the teams you're gonna have to beat in the finals, and them are the players you're gonna have to guard. Kawhi, KD, you don't have to stop those guys if you want to win a championship. And the Thunder have one of those guys on their team. And the funny part about him is he's 6'9" also, so he has the same size as those guys, and he has a long wingspan in hands, and he can play defense better than a lot of those guys. And besides Kawhi Leonard and Kevin Durant just coming up, but I'm talking about perimeter defense. But Paul George, he made it. You got to give him his credit. I think that Paul George was up there. He played more games than Chris Paul. He's been more consistent than Lou Williams, and his team obviously is in the playoffs, and they one of the top 5 teams in the league at that point. You have to put winning in consideration. If you say, well, winning consideration, then you put Chris Paul. But you got to take in account that Chris Paul only played 20-some games. Paul George has played 45. And that matters. That's a tiebreaker right there. You know, you've been winning, but James Harden carried the team to the #1 record in the first 2-3 months of the seasons, and then he went down and Chris Paul did his part, but he didn't do it as long as James Harden, who's the starter. But I can't really diss players. I can't really talk bad about players. I don't really want to destroy players' careers. So Paul George, everybody felt like he should got in. They said Paul George was the biggest snub. Paul George is the guy that should be in. I can't believe he didn't get voted in. He's a two-way player. He can score. He can destroy people. He can guard. He can shoot threes. And now he's in, and now the world should be happy that the guy everybody thought got snubbed should have been in there. The question I want to ask you guys before the video is over, even the new people that watch the video, do you think Damian Lillard should have had made it over Paul George? People said that Damian Lillard doesn't play defense, which a lot of people say all the time. He doesn't play defense. He's not really a franchise guy. He's just more of a scorer. But in his defense, his team is in the playoffs. The last 2 years, his team was out of the playoffs around All-Star break, so he didn't get in the All-Star team because his team wasn't winning. And then they would turn it on the second half of the season, and then they'd be in the playoffs, but they weren't in the playoffs at the time when the All-Star game was getting ready to start and the votes got in. So Damian Lillard got snubbed the last 2 years. This year, they in the playoffs, and now he done got voted in to the All-Star game by the coaches. But a lot of people say, Paul George should have got that spot over Damian Lillard. His teammate Russell Westbrook even said it too, that you got people whining and crying, and people think he was aiming it at Damian Lillard, and he felt that Paul George, should have gotten in over him. And a lot of other people on that roster, Draymond Green was another person that was like, if I had to pick Draymond Green or Paul George, I'd pick Paul George because he has more responsibility. He's the second best player on his team. He has the better numbers, and he's a better player than Draymond Green. And a lot of people believe that Draymond Green is like they say about Kawhi Leonard, he's part of the system. And without the system, without Steph Clay, he would be a worse player because he wouldn't be able to get all them assists, all them rebounds, and be able to exert so much energy on the defensive end because a team will require him to handle the ball more, do more, and score more, which can sap his energy and become a worse defender than he was. And I actually believe that as Paul George rose up in the All-Star ranking and in the All-NBA team these last couple of years, I feel like Paul George's defense has slipped until he got in OKC. To me, and a lot of people say, I think Paul George is the best perimeter defender in the league. Then obviously Draymond and Kawhi Leonard passed him up, but that was after Danny Granger went down and the team started to become Paul George. We all made fun of Damian, we all made fun of Steph, we all made fun of James Harden defense, but when you're trying to score and take over games and trying to keep your team within games, it takes a lot of energy offensively to to make plays for your teammates and for yourself. Plus, you getting double teamed and trapped, and you still got to try to make these plays, and you're doing it for 35 minutes, and then you still have to play defense and run the fast break and run up and down the court. I'm not making excuses for these guys, but that's why I feel like Paul George started to decline defensively until he got into OKC, where he doesn't have to carry the offense. He can just shoot a bunch of spot up threes, which he's doing a good job at because he's shooting 41%. That's above average because you want to shoot 36 or better. And on top of that, he's averaging a career high in threes, which is 7.4, something that he never did. He never shot 7 threes a game, especially at this clip, and that's something new. So Paul George is a better two-way player than those guys. Paul George has accepted his role as the second best player on the Thunder that helped them win. And he still shows up. He still defends. He still plays hard. Now he's getting it back. He's getting more energy. He's able to stop a lot of players and shut them down. And his defense has picked up to where, like I said, people were saying he's a defensive player of the year candidate. And that's something we didn't really expect going into OKC. But we expected them to make the playoffs. We expected them to be a great team. We expected them to be a championship contender. And here they are getting closer and closer to that goal. And the season is almost time for playoffs. So if injuries come in play, that's the only thing that can mess them up. The chemistry is going. They're winning games. They're on a 6-game winning streak. They're 8 games above 500. And winning solves the problem. Everybody complain. Everybody talk about you. Everybody on TV want to see what's going on with the locker room. They want to throw players under the bus. They telling Carmelo to go on the bench. Carmelo has been starting still, and they in the playoffs. They winning. They on an 6-game winning streak, and now nobody say Carmelo should come off the bench because they're winning. Nobody said Paul George. They say he's not an all-star. When they start winning, now they saying he's a snub. That's reality. When you're winning, it solves all the problems. I had the same thing happen to me when I started doing this YouTube channel. I went from nobody cared about me to now everybody want to do a deal with me. Everybody want to do a partnership with me. Everybody want to give me a YouTube partnership deal, and everybody want to do videos. When you winning, you got subscribers. People start coming. When you're great, people come to you. Let me know what you guys think about Damian Lillard. Let me know what you guys think about Draymond Green. Should Paul George be an all-star guaranteed? Is you kind of mad that he got voted in by the coaches? Did he not deserve the all-star spot? Was he a little overrated this season? Or do you think he deserved it? And no matter how you get in, you get in. He didn't get voted in. He didn't get voted in by the coaches, but at least he's still there. Even though it took an injury to DeMarcus Cousins, he can say that he's a 5-time all-star. Out of 8 seasons, 5 of them was an all-star appearance. That's something to brag about, regardless of how you get in. Check out my website, NawSisPlayground.com. Link will be in the description in the comment section below. And check out my Facebook page at NawSisPlayground.com. Link will be in the description in the comment section below. Quinn Wade, Basketball Analysis, I'm gone. And let me know what you guys think about Paul George making the All-Star team.